Greg Stubbe is on the committee that interviewed these two whistleblowers. He joins us now. Sir, good to have you back on. I want to start with the whistleblowers. The DOJ is pushing back hard on these claims, saying it's outrageous to claim that David Weiss didn't have full authority, that the prosecutor didn't have full authority. Outrageous to say that the D.C. U.S. attorney denied Weiss the ability to charge Hunter for more serious crimes in his district. What's your response to that?
Well, the first response is complete misrepresentations from Merrick Garland, which is not surprising to try to protect his boss, right, Joe Biden. But this is an individual who is the whistleblower who's worked for the IRS for 14 years, who was the supervisor of the Hunter Biden case. For 5 years, they investigated Hunter Biden. And this all didn't just happen because they wanted to go after Hunter Biden. This happened because there is a international porn ring, and they stumbled across Hunter Biden. That's in the report. You should read the whistleblower testimony. And then they start investigating him, getting this information, getting evidence, and at every step of the way, this whistleblower, who was the chief investigator for this team, was stopped, wasn't allowed to do search warrants, wasn't allowed to use Hunter Biden's name on documents, was thwarted all the way. A lot of stuff that you've already highlighted. This is the epitome of the weaponization of the DOJ and the FBI to protect Joe Biden.
Yeah, and it's two scandals. It's what did the DOJ do to inhibit this investigation of 5 years and to protect this regime that's currently running the country? And then the other scandal is what has this regime been doing? What has Joe Biden been doing with all of his power for the last 10 years? The slam dunk is that if the Bidens were clean, nobody would need to lie. Joe would not have needed to lie, but he has been lying constantly, and it's demonstrable lies at this point. He's very clearly involved in Hunter's business dealings. He very clearly played golf with Devin Archer, who he said he didn't know. Tony Bobolinsky says Joe Biden was at the table on the Chinese deals, literally at the table. The Ukraine whistleblower says Joe Biden got a prosecutor fired, and then he paid the Bidens millions of dollars. And while all this is alleged to have happened, Joe Biden was saying, I have nothing to do with any of it. If you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't need to lie. And it's becoming, I think, the biggest corruption scandal politically we've seen in this country.
Yeah, this is Watergate times 100. I mean, if it just would have been one incident, it would be one thing, and we would kind of like we would investigate that. But this is like piece after piece after piece. You've got hundreds of millions of dollars that's come from the Chinese Communist Party to Hunter and family. You have so many different issues going on that you have multiple different committees within the Congress, Ways and Means, Oversight, and Judiciary, weaponization, that are all investigating this because it touches all these different areas. The IRS, foreign involvement, and these were all countries when Joe Biden was vice president that he was in charge of. So, of course, he was shoveling business to his family because he was in charge of Ukraine policy. He was shoveling business from the Chinese Communist Party because he was in charge of China policy. And now all of these accusations, we actually have clear evidence that this was going on. Right. And, you have complete defense mode from this administration.
Right. It's so obvious to anybody that's been paying attention. And I think because it's now really, really obvious, all of a sudden the media has flipped and has suddenly decided they're going to cover the story and go after the White House on something this big. Congressman Stubbe, we appreciate you coming on a Friday. Thank you so much.
Yeah, anytime.
We're going to look at the media's reaction to this with Rick Leventhal coming up here later on in the show and how they've flipped on this whole story. Before we go to the break, we're